Kwasamat sanasna SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut Sahanap e Kusamat Sunny e Elling Karen e Virgil Sanasostila Sally e Herman Sanasostila Suitin ohiluk quinus asla atiakais Nuchchisin Maqualia quinus enatachel Nistlik quinus qual aquaquinal squal Out sen kachit sa uklamichasin E utatasin quinus twinaus Haishka. Hello my dear friends and relatives, my name is Sadie Olsen. Troy Olsen and Shirley Williams are my parents, and together we are co-founders of a native-led nonprofit organization called White Swan Environmental. I'm happy to see all of you here today. I just wanted to say a few words. I don't know the Lemhi language and I'm still learning how to speak it. Haishka, thank you. I am a student at Northwest Indian College and my major is going to be in Native Environmental Science. I'm really passionate about helping our community and revitalizing our Indigenous ways of knowing and balancing that with Western ways of knowing. A lot of our work with our nonprofit organization involves community healing for 7th generation sustainability, for ecological health protection for all. And our vision is to have 7 longhouses in the San Juan Islands and 7 longhouses in the Gulf Islands for a K through PhD, mountain to sea, reef to reef, Coast Salish Tribal Heritage Field Institute. We started working on our organization when I was 12, creating community healing efforts through legislation, education, and community engagement or civic engagement. I'm really grateful to have been able to take a part in all of this and to help reconnect youth back to our traditional homelands. This is a SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut, a whale, an orca whale, or a blackfish, SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut. And inside the word SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut, it's salsh, and salsh means healthy or health. So SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut is basically like the root word in there is health. So the SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut are our friends and relatives of the deep. And that's the tradition that I have knowledge in the tradition that I've always learned. When we're going out to go fishing, the SK'aliCh'elh, the salmon, and they're going upriver to return back to home, we want to ensure that we're as respectful of our friends and relatives of the deep when we can. It always makes me want to tell stories. Being an Indigenous person, I always just want to tell stories. Part of the reason why the salmon are so important is because they are also our friends and relatives of the deep. Like, we take care of their environment and we make sure that they'll be able to survive and make their way back to their traditional homelands, which are in the mountains. And surprisingly, traditional ecological knowledge shows that salmon use their nose for smelling things, so they return to their same location every year. In parallel with our Indigenous peoples, we always try our best to go out, learn, and return it back to our people. I think it's in our hearts and it's in our spirits to be as generous and reciprocal as we can, because our people give so much to us. Made sure that we would be able to carry on the traditions into the future. When I think about the SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut in SeaWorld and SK'aliCh'elh-tenaut and how she was taken away from her family to be kept in these tiny quarters from the time that she was 4 years old. The fact that as an Indigenous person, my spirit is connected to these orcas, and sadly, I think about how they were taken away and put in captivity into really small places, how she was 4 years old and she was taken away from her grandmother, and how her grandmother would feel and how her mother would feel after, birthing this beautiful calf and being separated from it. I see the world differently. We're a sovereign nation. That's why I say there's a parallel between what's happening with our orcas and why they're in captivity, and they lost all their family connection. They lost all connection to whatever they assumed was reality before that. Disheartening. They need to get out. They need safety and security and love, just like our people. This is why we care, because those are our friends and relatives of the deep, and somewhere they're down there, I'm sure, caring for us, because that's the story that is who we are and where we come from. We're blessed to have elders who wanted us to know that it's important to know who we are and where we come from. We are doing this work for the next generations.